This week on Steel Horse Thunder, it's Indiana Bike Week.
Mayhem for the most part.
No work tomorrow, so, I mean, that's when we real good. That's when the wild comes out.
Plus, we make our way through the Southside Harley Davidson restricted zone. Currently, somebody got the motorcycle but didn't get the wheel.
This is actually kind of near and dear to my heart.
It's a week full of action and surprises on Steel Horse Thunder. He speaks pretty quick for a guy with all those concussions. This week, it's all about Indiana Bike Week. We're down here in Brown County. We got the hill climb going on. Later on, we're going to take a look at some freestyle motorcycle jumping, and we also have some pretty cool vintage motorcycles to take a look at. Hey man, we're down here at the hill climb in Brown County, Indiana for Indiana Bike Week. Can you explain to our audience what goes on here? Because this looks nuts from down here.
Well, mayhem for the most part. No, what we have here today is amateur semi-pro hill climb. We've actually had hill climbs before in the past here in Nashville. This is the old ski world, and this hill actually used to be called the Plunge, but it used to be the steepest slope in the Midwest for a ski slope. But makes for a great hill climb today. We've got a pretty good turnout here today, a whole slew of competitors anywhere from 6 years old all the way up to veteran classes. We've even got some pro riders here today in a big bike class.
Oh, right on. So how long does this, this is going to be going on for a while then, right?
You know, we got the light plan out here. We plan on running until probably midnight here tonight. So it's going to be exciting. Good event here. Probably 150 to 200 runs over the top of this hill. And we got a set of timing lights down here at the bottom, set of timing lights at the top. Basically, first man to the top and the fastest time wins.
Right on. So can just about anybody do this? I mean, how expensive is it to get involved in something like this? If you wanted to get you a hill climbing bike and all.
You know, we've got so many classes here today. There's really a class for about every age and every level. If you've got a 200cc motorcycle, a 250, minimal modifications to the motorcycle, and you could be out here racing. But if you got the money, you can go all the way to the big bike class, 300 horsepower, nitro methane injected, 800 cc's. So we got something for everybody.
Right on. Sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, it's a good time. I tell you what, the thing is about hill climb, you either make it to the top or you roll back down. Every time a bike leaves the line down here, there's a potential for pandemonium, an awesome crash. It's a good spectator event. You can see we got a great crowd here tonight. And this is just an amateur event. But if you're into motorcycles, man, you got to come out here and check it out. It's a good time.
All right, we got the 250 quads going right now. Let's see how he's doing. Looks like he's got a control of it pretty good here. Going up the hill, we got another curve coming up here. Looks like he's got a hold of it pretty well. He's holding it down. Oh, lost a little momentum on that one right there. He didn't quite keep it down far enough. All right, we got the 250 quad coming up here. I tell you right now, he about lost it there, about went over the front there. He's got all sorts of speed, but he's lacking in control a little bit on this one. All right, we're ready to see the seasoned veterans here. These are the 4 to 8 year olds. Yes, they actually have a Pee-wee division going up this hill. I think maybe the parents need to be checked out on this one. Let's see what happens. Emma Schoolcraft, a legend on the track here. Hey, we're here at Indiana Bike Week. Got a couple of the stunt riders with us right here. Tell me a little bit about what you guys are going to do here.
We're going to get on these bikes, get them warmed up, and jazz this crowd up a bit, and then we're going to head over to the ramps and start catching some air, and the louder they get, the bigger we're going to go and try to impress some people, I guess.
Cool. How long you been doing this?
I've been doing this quite a while. I grew up on a bike my whole life, raced for I don't even know, 10 to 12 years, something like that. But I've actually been doing freestyle for about 13 years now. So, yeah, I've been catching some air for quite some time.
Yeah. Broken bones?
Too many.
Too many.
Concussions? Too many.
He speaks pretty quick for a guy with all those concussions. How about you? How's your health been doing this?
Same thing. Too many broken bones, too many concussions. But we try to keep it as safe as we can nowadays and be pretty precise.
So what is it, just true adrenaline junkie? I mean, what makes you come back and keep doing this even after the accidents?
Yeah, pretty much the adrenaline rush. There's really nothing I've ever done that's been equal to this at all. So once you get hurt, the only thing you think on your mind is when am I going to be healed so I can get back on the bike. So
that's what's on your mind. That's not what would be on my mind. I can promise you that right now. I ride a Road King. It's both wheels stay on the ground at all times. Now you brought up the wind. What does the wind do? How does that affect you when you're doing this?
The wind kind of takes your bike like a big sail in there and just kind of blows you in a funny direction. We don't have the widest landing area, so sometimes it'll blow you over to the edge, and that can get pretty scary real quick. So we try to keep it, in the least windy conditions we can, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and hopefully we land on the green.
Well, how high up do you guys go when you jump?
I think the bottom of the bikes are right around like 28 to 30.
Well, man, we're looking forward to seeing you guys do this. We'll get out of your way so you guys can get ready. And, man, I know you guys are going to put on one heck of a show.
Awesome. Thank you guys for coming out, man.
Hey, man, can you tell me a little bit about this bike? I mean, sometimes there's no other name you can say other than a badass scooter, and that's what this is. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, it's definitely badass. Yeah, it's a Bourget. It's a 2002 Bourget. Roger Bourget builds them. Paint job is Dino's out of Riverside, California. It's a soft tail. Nice riding, real nice, enjoyable ride. Just to have a lot of fun on it.
Well, on top of looking nice, it looks like it'll get up and go.
Yeah, it's a 113. Probably too much power for me, but get a lot of looks, a lot of pictures, and it's just it's great.
Well, I like it, and I like the fact that you ride it. It's not just a show bike. You ride this thing, and man, I imagine you get a lot of good looks coming down the road.
Yeah, it's a fun ride, and it's just heads turn all the time. I got lights at night; it lights up, but it's awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Well, thanks for taking time to talk to us.
Appreciate it.
Hey, have you ever wondered what goes on behind those doors that say employees only? Well, guess what? Folks here at Southside Harley Davidson were nice enough to bring us back here and give us a little tour of the place. Hey, we're wandering around the Southside Harley Davidson service department, kind of snooping around, see what kind of new things are going on around here. And we found this bay right here. Apparently somebody got the motorcycle but didn't get the wheel. Can you tell me what the wheel's doing?
Sure, Scott. Let me kind of fill you in on a little bit of the details of what we're doing here. We've actually got a custom bike that we're building for the Sturgis Rally that's coming up in August. A local builder here, a friend of ours, Jay Hart, is actually building. This is a 1972 XLCH Sportster that he's redesigned, and these are the wheels for it. We've actually laced, these are Barani racing rims that they didn't use only a few years through Harley Davidson, so we're lacing the rims up for them. This, of course, is the back wheel for it, and over here we have the front wheel in its rarest form. We've actually polished the rims, and we've got the spokes that were made for us by Buchanan's out in California. So we're actually putting these wheels together for Jay.
I'll tell you, you guys go through a lot more detail than I do. You know, generally I joke around now, and basically what I do to clean my spokes and my rims and all that, I spray them down with Simple Green or something like that. And when it's raining out, and I roll it out of the garage and let it sit in the driveway for a while. You know, and I gotta be honest. The first time I've ever seen one completely ripped down like this.
Oh yeah.
So how long does it take to do something like this?
Some of these guys, I mean, we've got, you know, Steve Green, he's the tech that's working on these wheels, and he's a pro at this. I mean, I've done wheels like this all my life. Steve has too. So it'll probably take an hour to 2 hours per wheel to get them, you know, laced up and trued. A lot of the newer mechanics, or younger mechanics, I should say, they're not really privy to, you know, relacing wheels just for a cost factor. I mean, a lot of times it's cheaper just to buy a new wheel that's already laced up. And you can do that cheaper than lacing a wheel. It's almost a dying art anymore. There's not that many people that can actually lace a wheel through it.
I would imagine. Yeah, I would imagine. All right, well, we're seeing the wheels here. Can you tell me a little bit about the bike? What it's going to be when it's done?
I can tell you a little bit about it. It's based off a 1972 XLCH Sportster, which is a kickstart design 900 Sportster back in the day. And they're redesigning it. I really can't tell you a whole lot about it, basically because it is a competition and we don't want the competitors to know what we're doing. So it's kind of it's going to be unique for sure, but it's going to be something to see. And we should have it down here. We're open next week, so keep our fingers crossed.
And I tell you what, I feel like I'm on an episode of Pickers right now. We've been wandering around the service department here at Southside Harley Davidson, and I came across this gem right here. Dwayne, please tell me about this.
Sure, Scott. Yeah, this is something that we've had around for a long time. I mean, it started life as a twin-engine drag bike, and back in the day when this was created, back in the 60s, it was a twin-engine side-by-side. And back then, I mean, in the days of Joe Smith and all those drag racers of that era, they always did a motor in front of another motor, so they had two engines, you know, back-to-back. But what we had done was take two panhead motors and put them side by side. It was a little bit different. We had some jack shafts that we ran through here, which actually powered the back wheel. Well, we raced it a few times that way and determined that it was a little bit unsafe and a little bit hard to ride, so we turned it back into a single engine drag bike. This is a panhead bottom end with a shovel head top end on it. Of course, we stroked it and did a little bit more work to it. But the last time this bike was ridden was myself 30 years ago. Until just recently, here 2 weeks ago at the Miracle Ride, we took it out for the drag racing for Riley's kids, and it actually turned a pretty good time. It was in the 12-second bracket, 112 mile an hour, and did pretty good. So it was a lot of fun to bring it back out, you know, breathe some life back into it, and ran pretty strong. I was really proud of it.
Well, I bet. And you said it sat for 30 years before you guys got it back out again. Now, did you run it down the?
Yeah, I was the one that got to ride it 30 years ago and again this time, so it was a lot of fun.
That is pretty cool.
Brings back a lot of memories.
Well, I bet, you know, and it's funny because you get to that certain age where everything was 10 years ago, and then you realize, no, that was 20. And then all of a sudden, I've just kind of gotten to that point now where I'm saying 20 years ago, and it's like, no, that was 30. You know,
absolutely.
Time doesn't wait for anybody, but well, I tell you what, sometimes it's fun to take a walk back in time and look at some of the stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Well, we're making our last stop here at Southside Harley Davidson in their service department, and came across some old machinery here that I know was from the original Meridian store. Tell me a little bit about this, man.
Yeah, this is actually kind of near and dear to my heart. I mean, this is stuff that we used to use on a daily basis. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we have in the machine shop here, you know, our newer techs, of course, they're well trained. They've been to school. They're up to date on all the new technology that we have. But back in the day when I started as a tech, I mean, we used to rebuild our own rods. We used to build our own flywheels. With some of the equipment that we've got, we used to even reline brake shoes. We'd reline clutch hubs. Simple tools like this, I mean, these guys, you know, they don't even use it anymore. But this is something that was part of our daily life. You know, on Meridian Street was, you know, rebuilding every part on a motorcycle.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, it's pretty cool to sit here and look at all this, and there's just so much history.
Absolutely.
And that's what I love about Southside Harley Davidson.
Yep.
Because if you're going to take a walk back in time like we're doing today, you got to go to Southside to do that, because you guys have been around forever. And I mean, the history here is just so rich, and it's just, I don't know, myself, I can come walk in here and it's just like, I look around, it's like, man, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, there's stories to be told. I started in the mid-'70s, and I still feel like the new kid, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff that, that I learned that was handed down to me from, the old timers, what I call the old timers. And it's been a great ride. I mean, it's been really fun, being part of this for as many years as I have. And I'd do it all over again.
Yeah. Well, Dwayne, can't thank you enough.
Oh, absolutely.
For letting us take a tour around here, man. This has been a blast for me. I really enjoyed it.
Anytime, anytime. Come on in and visit.
I'm here with Heidi Pello. Heidi, how long have you been riding your own bike?
I've been riding since 2008.
What do you ride?
I ride an 05 Katana 600.
Nice. So what made you decide to start riding your own bike?
Well, I started riding with my dad when I was like 10 years old, and we spent a lot of times every weekend going out places, and got away from it for having kids and various things, and I had to get back to it, and it was always a goal to get back to riding again, and I'm making up for lost time.
It's fun to make up for lost time, isn't it?
Oh yes, very much.
Well, what kind of riding do you do? I mean, is it mostly around town? Do you do some long trips? I mean, what is it you like about the motorcycle, being riding?
Right. I ride around town wherever I can go, wherever I have time. Sometimes it's shorter trips than others. I'll spend the whole day Saturday hitting the twisties down south, southern Indiana. Last year I took my first long ride, went out to Delaware, the East Coast, made it out there in one day from Indy to the East Coast, about 700 miles and almost 1,500 miles in a 4-day trip, round trip and back.
Now, what about that long trip? What are some memories about that?
Oh my gosh, we were fortunate, had excellent weather, got to see lots of things along the way, just the experience and the accomplishment of being able to ride that far and having that much freedom on the road, and it just flew by. It was 14 hours in a heartbeat, I think, but yeah, it was a great trip. Seeing the coast on the bike was a pretty cool experience too.
So now when you take a long trip like that, are you on highway? Do you do like interstate? Do you do the 2-lane highways, or do you just do a mixture of all of it?
Right. It was a mixture. On the way out, we were kind of in a hurry to get out there, so that was pretty much all highway. But on the way back, we took some nice roads down through West Virginia. Wow, lots of twisties, lots of hours on the twisties. It was a good time. So.
Yeah, West Virginia has a lot to offer when it comes to the roads. Well, I thank you very much for taking time to talk with us, and I hope you enjoy the catching up with all the time that you lost in the past, that you can catch up and have a great time on that bike.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to Safety 101. I'm Eric Anderson. We're located at the AGI Shorewood A-Bait training facility here on Oliver Avenue. Today we're going to talk about negotiating curves. One of the key things to remember when you're riding and you negotiate the curves, you always want to use an outside, inside, outside path of travel. What do we mean by that? We mean that you want to set yourself up to the outside of the curve, drop down to the inside, and then exit the curve on the outside again. What that does is creates literally a straight line going through the curve, shortens the curves, and gives your motorcycle a current, straight path of travel going through the curve. So as you can see the curve behind me on the ground, we're going to negotiate this curve. So where I'm starting at is going to be the outside of the curve. What we want to do is make sure that we enter the curve on the outside. As we continue to progress in and go around the curve, we're going to take an inside path of travel. So the motorcycle is going to come down to the inside, and then as we exit the curve, we want to take an outside path of travel again, so that it's a straight line from the outside, the inside to the outside, and around the curve. That'll help you negotiate almost every curve that you go through. Now, the only different scenario would be is if you're going through S curves or a declining radius curve where the curve gets steeper as you go through. Still use the outside, inside, outside path of travel, but you want to be sure that you're entering at the appropriate entry speed. One of the key things when you're negotiating curves is you're going to use a 4-step process. That is slow, look, press, and roll. What I mean is you're going to slow the motorcycle down to appropriate entry speed. Then I'm going to turn my head and look through the curve, whether you're negotiating a curve to the left or you're negotiating curve to the right. Get that good head turn to look where you want to exit the motorcycle. You're going to press on the handlebars in the direction that you want to go, and you're going to roll on the throttle. Because when you roll on the throttle, that's setting the suspension up so that it is helping the motorcycle stay to the ground as you're going through the curve. Now, we'll ride it and show you how it's done.
Hey, we're here at Indiana Bike Week. I got Brent with me. You guys are with the Vintage Iron Motorcycle Club. Tell our audience a little bit about what you guys do.
All right, yes, we call ourselves the old guys on old scoots, and we're based out of Dayton, Ohio. We're a motorcycle club dedicated to the preservation, restoration, and enjoyment of vintage motorcycles. But we all experience the same problems. If you want to ride your old bike, say on a Saturday ride someplace, and you're the only one, or maybe there's only two of you, and the rest of everybody's riding new bikes, it just doesn't work really well. The new bikes are great, but they're faster and they stop a lot better. So, you know, all of a sudden you take off and you see your friends on new bikes fading into the distance as you're trying to catch up. And then all of a sudden they're getting really big, really fast again because they've decided to turn left. And then they're wondering why you're passing them almost in the ditch on the right with this really fearful look on your face. It's because drum brakes just aren't stopping. And you've been trying to catch them up, you know. So we're like, okay, this isn't working really well, so what should we do? And we're like, let's start a club that's just around the old bikes, and we only ride the old bikes together. If we want to go someplace on a new bike, then we ride the new bikes. Turns out the majority of us ended up today ride our old bikes more than the new.
I heard some interesting story about how this all came to be. Can you share that with us?
I found it in a barn in 1979, and we bought it, and 2 months later headed to Sturgis. And been riding it 35 years, been all over the country. Still got the same wife I had when I was 19. We both took off and just been riding it around. We probably got 200,000 miles on it. Been in a lot of states and all over.
So how do you do something like that? I mean, do you find somebody to house it? Do you sell the house? What do you do?
Yeah, sell everything you own and jump on a bike with we had no plans. All we knew is we was going to Sturgis. And then from there we just rode around till the money run out and then stopped and got a job somewhere. Wait till we saved up enough, rode again. So, yeah, so.
See, now, you know, that is like, I can remember me as a young guy. I mean, that's all I wanted to do when I got my first bike. It's like, man, I'm getting rid of everything. I'm heading out west. Yep. I'm in envy when I meet somebody that really did that.
I was too dumb to know the difference. We were both 19. I just got married, and we said, let's go. And we took off. That's all we knew.
And you're still married to the same wife, still married to the same bike.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. I hear you got some good ink, too.
I came home from, I think we were in Texas, and I came home, and everybody's telling me I was on the cover of In the Wind. And it turned out being In the Wind 27. And we're on the cover of that, her and I on this motorcycle, and ended up getting a tattoo on my arm of that, yeah.
Hey, we're here with all these vintage bikes, and Kenny, your bike here kind of stands out a little bit. Tell me a little bit about that.
It's a 66 Sportster from back in the day where they built the motors big and stretched them out a little bit, keep them on the ground, and it's kind of just a favorite of mine out of one of my collection that I did about 4 or 5 years ago. And I'm a custom painter, kind of amateur custom painter, so I did everything myself.
Well, I'll tell you what, you take that word amateur off there, and I think everything's just right.
Hey, I appreciate it. I do appreciate that, yeah.
All right, so this is a pretty unique motorcycle right here. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it is. It's a 1946 Indian Chief. It was where they kind of started up some of it after the war, getting back into civilian production. And it's been in my family. I've owned it since I was 18 years old. It was my dad's before that. And so, yeah, we've had it quite a while.
I know there's a picture of you and your father on this bike here up on the windshield of this thing. And I mean, how cool is that?
Well, I got to kind of watch because when I get talking about Dad, you know, but yeah, it's a picture. I was 3 years old, and he had an Ariel Square 4. Again, all the old guys that know old bikes, it was an Ariel Square 4, and he owned it. He would put me on the front up on the gas tank, my older brother who you've met, put him on the back behind him, and the three of us would go off riding. Plan on riding this. They make a lot of aftermarket parts for it. If I get to where I can't kick it, I'll put an electric start on it. If I get to where I can't hold it up, I'll put a third wheel on it. But I want to ride. I want to ride.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Steel Horse Thunder. Don't forget, Steve Reeves Memorial Ride is coming up July 13th. Keep an eye on the Steel Horse Facebook page for more details on that ride. Hey, we'll see you next week. July 13th, and plus we make our way through the Southside Harley Davidson. How's it going? Plus me, we make our way.